What's up, guys? Welcome to today's video. Hope you guys are all having a great Wednesday so far. It's also Wednesday for me. It's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm going to film this video, edit it, and then upload it for you guys so you guys can watch. Today's video is just going to be an update and my thoughts on the current real estate market and what I think we're going to see over the next couple months and potentially next year or so, kind of like a short-term time frame. Now, I'm a real estate agent in Arizona. I specialize in Arizona only, more specifically the greater Phoenix area. So I can really only speak to the Arizona area, and some of the stats that I'm gonna pull up are specifically for Phoenix and the greater Phoenix area. So some of the things I say may not correlate or relate to the current real estate market over in, let's say, Los Angeles, California, or Nashville, Tennessee. What I do think we're gonna see a lot of over the next year or so is a lot of different sort of, like, every single market, every single city, and every single state is going to see a market change in a different way. Over the last year and a half, pretty much every single state that we've in the United States has increased or appreciated, and I think we're going to start to see a little bit of separation between specific cities now that things are starting to slow down. I think the cities where people are moving to are obviously going to continue to appreciate, maybe not at the pace we saw last year, but not even last year, but this year, and we're still continuing to see some appreciation at in crazy rates right now. But I think we're going to start to see separation between states that are having inbounds, and then obviously between states that are having a lot of people move outbound. So the first thing I want to talk about, let's just go to, I think this would be kind of a good place to start here. Let's talk about the actual Arizona market. So this is a year to year, so it's basically September 2020 to August 2021, which basically gives us 12 months of data here. This is prices for residential real estate in the greater Phoenix area. We have sold days on market, or DOM, which means how long the, let me actually minimize myself even more. We have sold days on market, which basically means how long a property has sat on the market for. And then the final thing right here, very, very important, is inventory for residential. So once the inventory starts to increase, that's when you see the purchase prices start to follow. This is the first time in, I want to say, about 2 years where we haven't had a huge increase. We've had a few dips, like at the very peak of the pandemic, or the very start of the pandemic last year, around March, April, May, June, July. We actually did see a dip, but the dip was just because of everyone's uncertainty of not knowing what was going on. And then the moment that interest rates dropped back down, the real estate market shot back up. So a lot of what we're seeing right now is just prices, because of interest rates, are still staying low, but we aren't seeing that increase that we were seeing at the beginning of this year, March, April, May, even parts of February, where we were seeing $10,000 to $20,000 jumps in housing prices, or 5 to 10% even some of those months. It was absolutely crazy in some cities. So we are starting to see a little flat line here, and I do think this is just the start of a couple months worth of just maybe a slight dip in the Arizona market, or just a complete flat line. And what I think is going to happen, this is my personal opinion, is there is still a ton of active buyers in the Arizona area. Arizona specifically is one of the top 5 cities, or one of the top 5 states of most inbound moves. So we're seeing still a ton of people flooding in here. We're still seeing a ton of offers on houses. I think people are kind of taking a break because they're getting outbid so much. They're getting outbid by cash offers. People from California, they're just getting 30, 40 offers over asking price. I think some people, some families just kind of gave up, and they're like, you know what? We're going to wait for the market to cool down. We're going to sit on the sidelines, and we're just going to be patient with it. So then when they start to see like stuff like this, where they start to see a flat line or even a slight decrease, I think everyone that's been sitting on the sidelines is going to jump back in, and obviously that flood of people is going to continue to hold the market. Now, I can't say this for every single state, because I don't think this is going to happen in every single state in the United States. I think we're going to see more of a decrease in states that are losing, that aren't getting people inbound, and they're essentially losing more people, or more people are moving out from the state than moving in. I think those states are going to see a lot more of a decrease in the overall market, but I think states like Idaho, Tennessee, Florida, Arizona are going to just see this little flat line, maybe a small dip, and then we're going to continue to appreciate. I don't think we're going to appreciate anywhere near what we did the last year and a half. It's not sustainable. Housing prices are getting too expensive. People can no longer afford them. They can no longer qualify for these housing prices. Like right now, I think the average house in the Phoenix area, I think in August of 2021 was $402,000. In July, I think it was at $400,000. So we only saw a $2,000 increase month over month here. And then we are starting to see a slight bump in days on market, which means houses aren't moving as fast as they previously were. And then obviously inventory. I think inventory right now just broke the 10,000 active listings, which is crazy. From, if you want to see February, we're at 7,000. So that's 3,000 more active listings in August than what we saw in February. And this is a huge indicator. And this has actually shot up pretty fast. So I do think if this continues to increase at this pace, we will see obviously a little slowdown in the market and then a little dip as well. This is obviously only data from Arizona. Unfortunately, I can't pull this up for like every single state. And this is one thing that I think is going to continue to hold the market. If interest rates stay low like this, we did see an increase in interest rates. I believe this is only like a 4-month chart, but I think March and April and May we did see an increase in interest rates. And then when COVID cases started to get a little bit more aggressive with the I think it was a Delta variant, interest rates dropped back down. So we're actually almost where we were in January of this year. At the average 30-year fixed rate mortgage, which is the most used mortgage, is at 3.05%, which is still extremely low. So I do think if rates stay low like this and we don't see a big jump, it will continue to keep those housing prices at where they're at. Now, if this does increase, we have the eviction moratorium, I think, expiring at the end of this month. I know California and New York, I believe they extended it for their specific state. But if we start to see a mix of that and then interest rates increase, then we may see a little bit of a difference in the actual real estate market. Because when interest rates are low, housing prices go up because it's just cheaper to borrow money. More people are borrowing money, meaning more people are buying houses. It just makes sense. Like, if interest rates are at these all-time lows, it makes so much sense to borrow as much money as you can for these cheap rates before they go back up. I'm actually closing on my personal house in a couple of days from now, and I'm trying to refinance. I'm paying for it cash, and I'm trying to refinance out of it with just a 30-year conventional loan, and I'm trying to lock up my rate as soon as possible. So that's one thing I wanted to talk about. I think rates are going to have a huge impact on that. And then here's another kind of chart of the 1-year chart of the rate. So here's what I was talking about. In January of 2021 is where we saw pretty much the lowest rates, which was, based on this chart, it looks like it was in the 2.6%. And then March and April, we saw an increase in interest rates. And then, as you guys can see, May, June, July, August, we saw a big dip. It wasn't quite where we were in January, but it definitely was a lot lower than what we saw over here in April, where it peaked this year. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that. It would be really interesting to follow the interest rate markets, because once interest rates start going up, that's when the real estate market starts to drop a little bit. So that's my thought, guys. I am continuing to stick with my plan. We have two flips right now currently. We're closing on another flip. I'm closing on my personal house. So we're pretty much we're running our numbers the same. We're not including any appreciation. Like, we're not anticipating appreciation in the market, and we are being slightly more conservative with what we pick up. We are starting to see that increase in inventory, so we have to be a little bit more careful, but we're running all of our numbers the same. We're not anticipating any appreciation. We never anticipate appreciation when we buy a flip. We look at the current comps and what they go for. We're not adding on any sort of ARV or after renovation value based on what we think the property is going to be. Everything and how we run our flips and how I run my personal properties when I buy my rentals is I just base it on the current market and not any anticipation of what's going to happen. So that's very safe, especially in a market like this where we're starting to see a slight shift. If you guys have any questions, or you guys still are looking to invest in the Arizona area, now may be a good time over the next couple months, because what I think is going to happen, we're going to see a flat line, maybe a slight decrease, and I think it's going to continue to go up. So it's really hard to time a market, guys. I always say this. If you guys are able to purchase a rental property or purchase an investment property or just purchase a house in general, and it is a long-term play for you, what I mean by long-term play is generally over, if you know you're going to own it for 10 to 15 years. Sorry, my camera died. But what I was basically trying to say there is, if you try to time the market, a lot of people end up just sitting on the sidelines for years and years, and they miss so many opportunities. But if you're going to be in the real estate game for over 10 years and you know you're going to hold these properties that you're buying for that long, it's always better to invest when you can. Long-term real estate has always appreciated. So that's it, guys. Like I said, I'm a licensed real estate agent. If you guys are looking in Arizona to invest, my email's down below. You guys can follow me on TikTok and Instagram as well. Have a great day, and be sure to drop a like, guys.